Hello, beautiful people. Danielle here from Transcendence to the Truth. First of all, I'm just feeling peaceful, light, clear, connected, joy. The joy of what awareness can create in your life, and the joy of choosing your inner being and your own awareness, and what that can create for you by coming into your heart center and who you are, just by being. So yesterday I was really, I could feel in my body, I was like, what is going on? It had been 4 days of me sort of like in this real, it's actually been a lot of that, like push, pull, up, down, not being consistent in who I am and my level of peace and awareness and my essence of being. And I decided that I wanted to choose to get my bars run. If you don't know what that is, access bars is, and of course I've got an eyelash that just flicks right at the wrong time. Access bars is a beautiful gift. It's a pragmatic process which touches 32 different points on the head, and what it does is it removes the energy blocks and the excess clutter and the blockages and just the shit. It removes the shit that we get clogged up and stuck in and we can't see past. So it pulls away it pulls away your ego, in my opinion, if I look at it that way, and it brings you into a state of alignment and being. Then it's up to you to keep choosing that, right? It comes back to you to, okay, I'm going to clear all the shit and come back to myself, come back to here, to my heart, to my inner being, and I'm going to choose that, and I'm going to continue to choose awareness. I'm going to continue to choose what keeps me in this space. And it's such a beautiful gift, and I am so grateful to have found it. It was the real turning point in my journey, and it has opened me up to so much levels of consciousness and questioning and inquiry and understanding of our belief systems. So it just creates that space within your body and your life to have more ease. A lot of people, when they go and get different healing techniques, they can have massive shifts in their life, because what you've done is you've taken away the block to see the truth and the reality of life. And it's a real gift, because if you're on the journey to self-realization, sometimes these blocks can come, and we can be in the block for quite a long time before we actually realize what we're doing and choosing, and then to choose something different, which is connecting inwardly. So I am just had this great, amazing state of awareness since, and I've just been really like looking at my every single thought that I've perceived as good or bad, or something that I believe is true, and looking at how could it be not truer, and what's required for me to be a contribution and to honor me at the moment, and to keep me here, to keep me in this beautiful energy of life and living and ease. And through this, I sort of I had a difficult conversation, and the difficult conversation was, there was a few things that I have continually had projected at me that I've taken on as true and real, right? And this is what awareness is. And when you start lifting back your beliefs, you realize that the projections that you mostly receive are other people's projections, and you've taken them on as your truth. And that's just in society in general, right? What's going to make you happy? Get married and have 2 children and buy a house. That's a projection from society that we take on as being true and real. Projections are an external belief that you internally process and it becomes your truth. But beliefs are beliefs. And no belief really is truer than another when you start to look at them. A belief is a construct of the mind, and the only reason beliefs should be there, or the only reason for a belief, is to create to create, and to create ease and experience and joy and expansion. So if your beliefs are causing you suffering, then that's when you look at the belief, right? So if the belief is light and centered and heart, you don't really, in my opinion, maybe look at it to see if it's still serving. Is that belief still serving you? Yes or no? Is there contraction now? Is there an expectation? Is there judgment? But if that belief is truly light, then it creates lightness in your life. It creates ease in your life. So I've had someone continually project these two beliefs on me. One, that I seek validation from social media, and that was that's actually been projected onto me for a long time, but I saw the truth in it. So the thing is, because there was truth in that in the past, I have then onboarded a belief that I've worked on and processed and am very aware of, and I've taken that old belief and I've bought it as true and real again. And I'm like, oh, so I've had to justify and convince and explain, and it's like, hang on, no, that's an old belief. I no longer choose that belief. I choose to act out of what's light for my being. And if that's sharing something on social media from my heart space and not from my ego, then there's no seeking of validation. Now, if you are somebody that has sought or seeks validation, sometimes there's a wrong. If you've judged that as wrong, is it wrong? Okay, when we look at these things, okay, is seeking validation wrong? And I can tell you that it is not wrong and it's not right, because it can be a neutral space of gaining awareness depending on where you're coming from. So seeking validation, you know, sometimes I will go to outside sources to confirm my story or my awareness, which is what it is. And that's where we can mind fuck ourselves, is that if you are looking outside of self for confirmation, but you're not actually coming in with what's true here and seeing different perspectives, okay? See everyone's perspective, see everyone's truth on a situation. Take it and see, is that causing lightness or contraction? And if it is, is that someone else's truth? Is that even true for you? Validation to me can be in a relationship. Maybe in the initial stages, you need somebody to validate their love until you feel safe and until you can go into the lightness of knowing that it's true and real. It doesn't make it wrong. It doesn't make it right. Maybe you do sometimes need to communicate your own truth to validate it to yourself, to validate the fact that you've come to a level of lightness, but then also to communicate it externally so that you can hear it and catch anywhere that maybe you're not being honest and truthful with you. So that projection was a way that I was allowing myself I was gaslighting and manipulating myself by believing that belief of I look for validation still in other people rather than trusting myself. And that is not true. I choose in the moment, and I choose to communicate and gain awareness in the energy and the words of a conversation, and I will sit with it and then I will question it. Okay, so that belief is no longer something that's going to bind me, because one, I know it's not true. It's not true for me, not in my reality. And I'm not going to allow myself to put myself into contracted situations because of that belief, you know, to justify, to make it right. The other belief that was an old belief that's come back and I've taken on has been that it's been an ongoing belief that I've gone in and out of for a long time, of I leave when it gets too hard, right? So having that belief, it's pretty limited, right? And it takes away choice. You know, I leave when it gets too hard. So then instead it puts you in a place of I have a no choice universe. I don't have a choice to see a new awareness, to see a new possibility, to see that this situation could be seen in many, many other perspectives of maybe with the awareness that I'm gaining, I'm choosing in that moment what feels light and right. And with that choice, I'm learning more about myself. Am I, if you're choosing a no choice universe, you can be actually restricting yourself of, okay, if I'm choosing to stay because of the belief I leave when it gets too hard and I'm trying to go in and bust that belief, then are you creating more trauma and drama in your life because you're not honoring yourself to take some time and sit in your own space? Because you're like, I leave when it gets too hard. It's okay to have space. If that's honoring you, it's okay to have time alone. It's okay to respect and protect your own peace. If at the time you're being at the effect of something, that is not leaving when it gets too hard. That's honoring and loving yourself enough to say, this situation right now is not healthy for me. I need to go and choose what's healthy for me in this space, and then I will have the awareness of how I move forward. Will I be able to come back in love and light and come into this situation from a new energy because I honored myself first and I've seen a different perspective? Or have I seen some clarity that maybe this situation is going to be continually to be hard and contracted and painful? Or maybe there's many other possibilities in between. And when we stick to an old belief and we lock ourselves into those beliefs, we create our own suffering. We do that. No one else. We do it. So if you're being projected at and you're believing it, it's one, you're taking away your own trust in your own self and what you know and your awareness. Many people often say you're being judgmental. When you go down this consciousness path, the statement of you're judging that, or you're projecting your past onto your future, and that is a possibility. But the other possibility is it a judgment? Is it you projecting your past, or is it awareness? Because I'm super hyper aware. I would consider myself like the X-Men of awareness. And sometimes I forget how aware I am because I'm not always checking in. I embody energy of the person sitting next to me. I embody my daughter's energy. I embody my partner's energy. And for me, if I'm not checking in every 10 seconds and going, wait, hang on, whose life and reality and energy am I living in? Then I can play out days, weeks in someone else's energetic field. Can you imagine how damaging that is to your peace and to what you're creating within yourself? So one way to know for sure that a belief is true and real for you is, does it make you smile? Does it bring lightness to your body and your being? And does it bring expansion? If it doesn't bring those things, it's not true. If there's no lightness or funniness, even if it's funniness and tears of how much of a whatever it was for yourself, right? Looking at yourself and how you've been. And sometimes, when you look at yourself, that's hard. It can be hard and confronting and shitty and fucked up all at the same time. But there's a level of lightness and expansion, and you can almost laugh at yourself for what you've been doing once you sort of get past that. The sadness. For me, every time I drop the veil of illusion, the story, the narrative, whatever I've been telling myself, I get lightness and truth and conviction, and I know, no one else can tell me what I know. No one can tell you what you know. When you're in this space, when you're here, not here, when you're here, it doesn't matter what anyone says. You know your being. You know your awareness. Don't let anyone project their opinion onto you.